Ladies and gentlemen, I've wanted many things in my life that I haven't received. And to that I say, my dear friends, you have indeed received exactly what you wanted, but perhaps not in the way you expected. You see, the universe operates on a principle so simple, yet so profound, that many of us overlook it entirely. This principle is the law of assumption. It states that your outer world is a perfect reflection of your inner world. In other words, what you experience in your physical reality is a direct manifestation of your dominant thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. Let us delve deeper into this concept. Imagine, if you will, that your consciousness is like a garden. The thoughts you think, the emotions you feel, the beliefs you hold, these are the seeds you plant in this garden. And just as surely as an acorn grows into an oak tree, these mental seeds grow into the experiences of your life. Now you might be thinking, but Neville, I've had negative experiences that I certainly didn't want. And to that I would say, look closer, my friend. Look at the thoughts and feelings you were harboring before and during those experiences. Were you not perhaps expecting the worst? Were you not, on some level, assuming that things would go wrong? You see, the human mind is a powerful thing. It doesn't distinguish between what you want and what you don't want. It simply takes your dominant thoughts and feelings and brings them into manifestation. This is why it's crucial to be mindful of what you're focusing on, what you're assuming to be true. Consider for a moment the story of a man I once knew. He was constantly worried about losing his job. Day in and day out, he fretted about it, imagined worst-case scenarios, and lived in a state of perpetual anxiety. And do you know what happened? He lost his job. Now you might say, see, Neville, he got what he didn't want. But I say to you, he got exactly what he was focusing on, exactly what he was assuming would happen. This, my friends, is the crux of the matter. You always get what you want, because what you truly want is determined not by your surface-level desires, but by your deepest assumptions about yourself and the world around you. Let's explore this further. Think about a time in your life when you achieved something you had long desired. Perhaps it was a promotion at work, a loving relationship, or a personal accomplishment. Now consider your state of mind leading up to that achievement. Chances are, you were confident. You believed it was possible. You could see yourself already in possession of your desire. This, dear friends, is the secret. When you assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, when you live from the end as if your desire has already been realized, you align yourself with the creative power of the universe. You plant the seed of your desire in the fertile soil of your imagination. And the universe, in its infinite wisdom and power, brings it into manifestation. But here's where many people stumble. They say they want something, but their dominant thoughts and feelings tell a different story. They say they want financial abundance, but they constantly worry about money. They say they want a loving relationship, but they harbor beliefs about being unworthy of love. They say they want success, but they fear failure. In each of these cases, what do you think these individuals will receive? That's right. Exactly what they're predominantly thinking and feeling. They will experience financial struggle, loneliness, and setbacks. Not because the universe is cruel or because they're unlucky, but because they're getting precisely what they're assuming to be true. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Neville, how can I control my thoughts and feelings? How can I assume something to be true when my current reality shows me the opposite? And to that I say, my dear friends, this is where the true work begins. This is where you must exercise the divine gift of your imagination. You see, your imagination is not some frivolous fantasy maker. It is the very workshop wherein you forge the life you desire. When you use your imagination to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are engaging in the highest form of creative. You are declaring to the universe, this is who I am. This is what I accept as true. Let me give you an example. Suppose you desire financial abundance, but your current reality is one of lack. The conventional approach would be to worry, to stress, to focus on the absence of money. But what does that create? More lack, more struggle, more of the very thing you don't want. Instead, I urge you to do this. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And now imagine yourself as you would be if you were already financially abundant. How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? What thoughts would occupy your mind? Would you worry about bills, or would you feel a sense of ease and security? As you engage in this exercise, you'll notice something remarkable. Your body will begin to respond as if what you're imagining is actually true. You might feel a sense of relief, of joy, of freedom. This, my friends, is the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And when you can capture and maintain this feeling, you set in motion the forces that will bring your desire into physical manifestation. It's a crucial point. You must persist in this assumption. You must live from this new state of consciousness consistently. It's not enough to do this exercise once and then return to your old patterns of thought and feeling. You must make this new assumption your dwelling place. Now, some of you might be wondering, but Neville, what about action? Don't we need to do something to achieve our goals? And to that I say, of course, action is important. But understand this inspired action flows naturally from your assumed state of consciousness. When you truly assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you'll find yourself naturally taking actions aligned with that state. The financially abundant version of you will make different decisions, see different opportunities, and take different actions than the version of you struggling with lack. This is why I often say that changing your conception of yourself is the key to changing your world. When you change who you believe yourself to be, everything else changes to match that new self-concept. Let's consider another example. Imagine a person who wants to be in a loving relationship. They might go on dates, join dating apps, and actively seek a partner. But if their dominant assumption is that they're unlovable, or that good relationships are hard to come by, what do you think their experience will be? That's right. They'll encounter experiences that confirm their assumption. They might attract partners who don't appreciate them, or find that their relationships always seem to fall apart. Now imagine if this same person were to change their assumption. Imagine if they were to live from the state of being deeply loved and appreciated. How would that change their approach to dating? How would it change the energy they put out into the world? How would it change the way they interact with potential partners? You see, when you assume the state of being loved, you naturally become more open, more confident, more attractive. You send out a different vibration into the universe, and the universe responds in kind. This is how you always get what you want, by becoming it first in your imagination. But let me be clear. This is not about forcing outcomes or manipulating others. This is about aligning yourself with the truth of who you really are. For in reality, you're not separate from the universe. You are an individualized expression of the one creative power that underlies all of existence. When you truly grasp this truth, when you understand that your consciousness is the one and only reality, you'll see that there is no limit to what you can be, do, or have. For the only limits that exist are those you accept in your own mind. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Neville, what about other people? Don't they have a say in what happens in my life? And to that I say, of course, they do, but only to the extent that you allow them to in your consciousness. You see, everyone in your world is you pushed out. They play the parts that you knowingly or unknowingly have assigned to them through your assumptions. If you assume that people are kind and helpful, you'll encounter kindness and help wherever you go. If you assume that the world is a hostile place, you'll find evidence of that hostility all around you. This is why it's so crucial to be mindful of your assumptions about others. When you change your conception of someone, you change how they show up in your experience. This is not about controlling others, but about taking responsibility for your own consciousness and the reality it creates. Let me share with you a personal experience that illustrates this principle. Many years ago, I had a colleague who I found difficult to work with. I assumed he was uncooperative and hostile towards me. And guess what? Every interaction we had seemed to confirm this assumption. But then I decided to apply the principle we're discussing today. I began to imagine this colleague as friendly, supportive, and easy to work with. I would close my eyes and create scenes in my imagination where we were working together harmoniously, where he was praising my work and offering his assistance. At first, nothing seemed to change in our outer interactions. But I persisted in my new assumption. I lived from the state of having a great working relationship with this person. And gradually, miraculously, things began to shift. He became more friendly towards me. He started to offer his help on projects. Our interactions became pleasant and productive. Now, did I change this person? No. What I changed was my assumption about him. And in doing so, I changed how he showed up in my experience. This, my friends, is the power you wield in every moment of your existence. But let's take this principle even further. It doesn't just apply to your interactions with others or to specific goals you want to achieve. It applies to your entire experience of life itself. You see, your fundamental assumptions about the nature of reality shape everything you experience. If you assume that life is hard, that good things are rare, that you have to struggle to get ahead, guess what kind of life you'll experience? That's right. One of hardship, scarcity, and struggle. But what if you were to assume that life is inherently good, that the universe is always working in your favor, that abundance is your natural state? Can you imagine how that would transform your experience? This, my dear friends, is the ultimate secret to always getting what you want. It's not about manipulating external circumstances. It's about aligning your consciousness with the truth of your being, which is one of infinite potential, boundless creativity, and limitless love. When you live from this state of consciousness, you'll find that life begins to flow effortlessly. Opportunities will appear as if by magic. The right people will come into your life at just the right time. Challenges will be transformed into stepping stones for growth. But remember, this is not about passively waiting for good things to come to you. It's about actively assuming the state of consciousness that aligns with your desires. It's about living from the end, feeling the reality of your wish fulfilled, and allowing the universe to rearrange itself accordingly. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, but Neville, this all sounds too good to be true. Surely there must be some catch. And to that I say, the only catch is your own limiting beliefs. The only obstacle is your own doubt and disbelief. You see, the universe doesn't judge. It doesn't decide whether you deserve something or not. It simply responds to your dominant state of consciousness. If you can accept something as true in your imagination, the universe must provide you with experiences that match that acceptance. This is why faith is so crucial. Not blind faith in some external power, but faith in the creative power of your own consciousness. Faith that what you can conceive and believe you can achieve. But here's where many people stumble. They try this principle once or twice, and when they don't see immediate results, they give up. They fall back into their old patterns of thought and feeling, and then wonder why nothing has changed. My friends, creation is finished. The reality you desire already exists in the realm of infinite possibilities. Your job is not to make it happen, but to align your consciousness with it so completely that it has no choice but to manifest in your physical experience. This requires persistence. It requires living from your desired state consistently, even when your senses tell you otherwise. It requires trusting the process, knowing that the seed you've planted in your imagination must, by universal law, grow into your physical reality. Let me give you another example to illustrate this point. Imagine a young woman who dreams of becoming a successful author. She writes diligently but struggles to get published. Rejection letters pile up and she begins to doubt her abilities. Now, if she were to focus on these rejections, if she were to accept the assumption that success is out of her reach, what do you think her experience would be? That's right. More struggle, more rejection, more evidence to support her assumption of failure. But what if, instead, she were to assume the state of being a successful author? What if, every night before sleep, she were to imagine holding her published book in her hands? What if she were to feel the joy of receiving glowing reviews, of seeing her book on bestseller lists, of inspiring readers with her words? If she were to persist in this assumption, living each day from the state of being a successful author, how would that change her approach to writing? How would it change the energy she puts into her work? How would it change the opportunities she notices and acts upon? You see, when you assume the state of your wish fulfilled, you align yourself with the version of you who has already achieved that desire. You begin to think, feel, and act as that version of you would. And in doing so, you naturally take inspired actions that lead to the manifestation of your desire. This, my friends, is how you always get what you want. Not by forcing, not by struggling, not by worrying about how it will happen, but by assuming the state of already having it, by living from that state consistently, and by allowing the universe to bring it into manifestation in its own perfect timing. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when I share these teachings. Some people worry that if everyone could have whatever they wanted, the world would fall into chaos. They fear that people would use this power for selfish or harmful purposes. But here's the beautiful truth. When you truly align with your highest self, when you tap into the creative power of the universe, your desires naturally align with the highest good of all. You see, at our core, we are all expressions of the same divine consciousness. And that consciousness is love itself. So when you operate from this level of awareness, you don't desire things that would harm others or disrupt the harmony of the universe. Instead, you desire to express your unique gift, to create beauty, to serve others, to experience joy and share that joy with the world. This is why I often say that your desire is God's desire for you. The desires that spring from your true self are not random or capricious. They are the universe's way of expressing itself through you, of expanding and evolving through your unique experiences. So never feel guilty about your desires. Never think that wanting something is selfish or wrong. Your desires are sacred. They are the call of your highest self, urging you to grow, to expand, to become more of who you truly are. But here's an important point. See, sometimes what you think you want on a surface level is not what you truly desire at a deeper level. This is why it's crucial to cultivate self-awareness, to really examine your desires and where they're coming from. For example, you might think you want a specific job or relationship, but what you truly desire is the feeling of fulfillment or love that you believe that job or relationship will bring you. When you recognize this, you open yourself to receiving what you truly want in ways you might not have imagined. This is where trust comes in. Trust that the universe knows the best way to fulfill your desires. Trust that if something doesn't manifest exactly as you imagined, it's because something even better is on its way. Remember, you always get what you want. But sometimes, the universe delivers it in a package you didn't expect. This is why it's important to focus on the essence of your desire, rather than the specific form you think it should take. Now, let's talk about the role of action in this process. Some people mistakenly believe that if they just imagine what they want and feel good about it, they can sit back and wait for it to appear. While it's true that inspired action flows naturally from your assumed state, it's still important to act when you feel prompted to do so. The key is to ensure that your actions are aligned with your assumption. If you're assuming the state of being wealthy, act as a wealthy person would act. If you're assuming the state of being in a loving relationship, act as someone in a loving relationship would act. These actions don't have to be grand gestures. Often they're small shifts in your daily behavior. The way you speak about yourself and your life, the choices you make, the opportunities you say yes or not to. All of these should reflect your new assumed state. But here's the crucial point. Your actions should feel natural and joyful. They shouldn't feel like a struggle or a chore. If they do, it's a sign that you haven't fully embodied your new state and may need to spend more time in your imagination, really feeling the reality of your desire. Now, I want to address something that often comes up when people start applying these principles. They wonder, what about my current reality? How can I assume something to be true when my senses tell me otherwise? This, my friends, is where the real work begins. This is where you must exercise your faith and your power of imagination. You must learn to deny the evidence of your senses and live from your desired state, regardless of what your current circumstances show you. This doesn't mean you ignore your current reality or act irresponsibly. It means you acknowledge your present circumstances while simultaneously holding firm to your new assumption. You live in two worlds at once, the world of physical senses and the world of imagination, knowing that the latter will eventually replace the former. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Suppose you're currently in debt, but you desire financial abundance. You wouldn't ignore your bills or pretend the debt doesn't exist. You would continue to manage your current finances responsibly, but at the same time, you would live from the state of financial abundance in your imagination. You would feel the relief of having all your debts paid. You would experience the joy of having more than enough money for all your needs and desires. You would feel the security of an abundant bank account. And you would carry these feelings with you throughout your day, even as you're dealing with your current financial situation. This is what it means to live from the end. It's about holding two realities in your mind simultaneously, while emotionally and mentally residing in the reality you desire to experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, this sounds like self-deception. Isn't it better to face reality as it is? And to that I say, what is reality? Is it only what your physical senses show you? Or is there a deeper reality? One that exists in the realm of infinite possibilities, waiting to be called forth by your assumption? You see, what you call reality is simply the outpicturing of past assumptions. It's the harvest of seeds you've planted in the past through your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs. But at any moment, you have the power to plant new seeds, to make new assumptions, and thus to create a new reality. This is not self-deception. This is understanding the true nature of reality in your role as a co-creator with the universe. This is recognizing that your consciousness is the one and only reality, and that everything in your world is a reflection of that consciousness. Now, I want to address another common concern that arises when people begin to apply these principles. They worry about the time lag between their assumption and its manifestation in the physical world. They wonder, how long will it take for my desire to manifest? My friends, time is a construct of the human mind. In the realm of pure consciousness, where all creation takes place, there's no time. Your desire is fulfilled the moment you assume it to be so. The time it takes to appear in your physical reality depends on many factors, including the naturalness of the desire, your ability to maintain your assumption, and the current conditions of your life. But here's the key. Don't concern yourself with the when or the how. Your job is simply to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled and to live from that state. The universe will take care of the details. Trust the process. Know that what you have assumed must come to pass. Remember, creation is finished. All possible realities already exist. When you assume a new state, you're not creating something new. You're simply selecting a different reality from the infinite array of possibilities that already exist. You're tuning your consciousness to a different frequency, so to speak, and thus experiencing a different version of reality. This understanding should free you from anxiety and impatience. There's no need to worry about whether your desire will manifest. It must, for it already exists. Your only task is to align your consciousness with it through your assumption. Now, let's talk about an aspect of this principle that many people overlook. When you truly understand that you always get what you want, that the universe is constantly responding to your assumptions and delivering experiences that match them, how can you not feel profound gratitude? Gratitude is not just a pleasant emotion. It's a powerful creative force. When you feel grateful, you're affirming that you already have what you desire. You're living from the state of fulfillment, of abundance, of your wish realized. And in doing so, you're aligning yourself even more powerfully with that reality. So cultivate an attitude of gratitude. Be thankful, not just for what you already have in your physical reality, but for what you've assumed in your imagination. Feel the gratitude of already being, doing or having what you desire. Let this feeling permeate your entire being. This gratitude will transform your entire experience of life. You'll find yourself appreciating the present moment more fully, even as you're assuming a different state. You'll see the beauty and perfection in all things, recognizing them as expressions of the same divine consciousness that you are. Now, I want to address something that often comes up as people begin to apply these principles successfully. They start to wonder, if I can have anything I want, what should I want? What if I choose the wrong thing? My friends, there are no wrong desires. Every desire that arises within you is an opportunity for growth, for expansion, for a fuller expression of who you truly are. The very fact that you can conceive of something means that it's possible for you to experience it. However, it's worth examining your desires to understand what you truly want at the deepest level. Often what we think we want is just a means to an end. We think we want a specific job, but what we really want is the feeling of fulfillment and purpose that we believe the job will bring. We think we want a particular relationship, but what we really want is the feeling of love and connection. When you recognize this, you open yourself to receiving what you truly want in ways you might not have imagined. You allow the universe to surprise and delight you with its infinite creativity. So instead of focusing on specific forms or outcomes, focus on the essence of what you desire. How do you want to feel? What kind of person do you want to be? What kind of life do you want to live? Assume these states in your imagination and watch as your outer world rearranges itself. Now, as we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next 30 days, choose one desire, something you truly want to experience in your life. It can be anything. A new job, a loving relationship, improved health, a specific sum of money, a particular achievement. Now, every night before you go to sleep, and every morning when you wake up, spend a few minutes imagining that this desire has already been fulfilled. See it clearly in your mind's eye. Feel the emotions you would feel if it were already your reality. Experience the relief, the joy, the excitement of having what you desire. During the day, whenever you think of your desire, remind yourself that it's already yours in your imagination. Feel the gratitude of already having it, live from the state of your wish fulfilled. Don't worry about how it will come about. Don't try to figure out the steps you need to take. Simply live from the end, knowing that the universe will orchestrate the means. At the end of the 30 days, reflect on your experience. Notice any changes in your outer world, but more importantly, notice the changes in your inner world, in your thoughts, your feelings, your overall state of being. You may be amazed at what unfolds. You may find your desire manifesting in ways you never expected. Or you may find that you've changed in profound ways, regardless of whether your specific desire has yet appeared in your physical reality. Remember, the goal is not just to get things or achieve specific outcomes. The goal is to master your own consciousness, to understand and apply the principles that govern the universe, to become a deliberate creator of your life experience. You'll do this, you'll discover a profound truth. You're not separate from the universe. You are not a tiny speck in a vast, indifferent cosmos. You are an individualized expression of the one creative power that underlies all of existence. You are, in essence, the universe experiencing itself through your unique perspective. When you truly grasp this, when you live from this understanding, you'll see that there are no limits to what you can be, do, or have. You'll understand that you always get what you want. Because what you truly want, at the deepest level of your being, is to express and experience more of who you really are. And that, my dear friends, is the greatest adventure of all. It's the journey of self-discovery, of self-expression, of becoming more fully yourself. It's the journey of aligning your individual consciousness with the infinite consciousness of the universe. As you embark on this journey, know that you're not alone. The entire universe is supporting you, guiding you, working through you. Trust this process. Have faith in your own divine nature. Know that you are loved, supported, and infinitely powerful. Remember, you always get what you want. So choose your thoughts wisely. Choose your feelings intentionally. Choose the state of consciousness you wish to embody. For in doing so, you are choosing the life you will experience. Go forth with this knowledge. Apply these principles in your daily life. Watch as your world transforms before your eyes. And know that as you do this, you're not just changing your own life. You're contributing to the evolution of consciousness itself. You're playing your unique part in the grand symphony of creation. Thank you for your attention, for your openness, and for your willingness to explore these profound truths. May your journey be filled with joy, wonder, and the thrill of conscious creation. Remember always, you're the operant power in your world. You are the one who decides what you will experience. You always get what you want. Go now and create the life of your dreams. For it is already yours, waiting for you to step into it. The power is yours. The choice is yours. The life you desire is yours. Claim it. Live it. Thank you. And may your life be a testament to the incredible power of your own consciousness.